God in the vines, crowned with twisted ivy, God in the rising sap and fermenting wine, dance with me through the mountains. Speak through chants and swirling ecstasy, inspiring words enough to describe the complexity. As early as the 13th century BCE, the name of Dionysus was being spoken amongst Mycenaeans, and while, in later years, he has come to be misunderstood as simply a hedonist, this multi-dimensional deity has ancient beginnings and deep importance. In ancient Greek religion and mythology, Dionysus is revered as the god of winemaking, orchards, fruit, vegetation, fertility, festivity, madness, religious ecstasy, and theatre. The Greeks also knew him as Bacchus, a name later embraced by the Romans, associated with the frenzied state he could induce, known as Bacchia. As Dionysos Eleutherios, meaning the liberator, he freed his followers from self-consciousness and fear through the power of wine, music, and ecstatic dance, challenging the oppressive constraints of authority. His signature staff, the thyrsus, a fennel stalk sometimes adorned with ivy and dripping with honey, served as both a symbol of blessing and a weapon to defend his cult and the freedoms it represented. Those who partook in his sacred rites were believed to be possessed and empowered by the god himself. Wine played a central role in the cult of Dionysus, seen as his earthly manifestation. It could alleviate suffering, evoke joy, and inspire divine madness. Festivals in his honor featured sacred performances that reenacted his myths, laying the foundation for the development of Western theatre. Dionysus's cult was also known as a cult of souls, with his Maenads offering blood sacrifices to feed the dead. Acting as a divine bridge between the living and the deceased, Dionysus is sometimes regarded as a dying and rising god, symbolizing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. His creation is one of the more convoluted tales in Hellenic mythology. The son of Persephone, he was vengefully killed while still an infant, dismembered and eaten by the Titans. He was almost destroyed before he could even begin. However, the infant's heart was saved, allowing Zeus to use it to impregnate his mortal lover, Semele. Hearing how her husband was once more straying, Hera disguised herself as a crone and befriended Semele. In this way, she could encourage the pregnant girl to confront her lover and ask the god to reveal himself in his true form, that of a lightning bolt, killing the mother instantly. Hera had not foreseen her husband's devotion to the unborn child, and her revenge was frustrated by Zeus rescuing the developing Dionysus from the ashes of his mother. Unwilling to trust the continued gestation to anyone else, Zeus sewed the fetus into his thigh, where Dionysus remained until he was ready to be reborn. After this second birth, Zeus sent the infant Dionysus to be raised by rain nymphs in Nysa, a mythological land thought to be located in northern Africa. It was here that the young god learned the secrets of cultivating the grapevine and transforming its fruit into wine. Dionysus was not safe from Hera just by virtue of having survived his childhood, and eventually the jealous queen of Mount Olympus found him. Rather than attempt yet again to kill him, she cursed him with amnesia and a wandering madness. This illness led him to travel widely before being found and cured in Kugia, Turkey, by Kubilay, who also took him under her wing and trained him in her ritual forms. From here he travelled Asia, concentrating especially on India, spreading his worship and the knowledge of the vine, before making his way back to Greece. Due to his complicated genesis, Dionysus was blessed with many attributes which reflect his history, a reincarnated god of vegetation, fruitfulness, and wine. He also presided over vast celebrations, Dionysia, and accompanying performance arts. This is then taken further by his close association with drunkenness, ecstasy, orgastic rites, and madness. One of the main aspects of his worship was in the form of a mystery cult. The devotees were typically, although not always, women known as Maenads, and the cult was both secretive and controversial in its practices. While the very nature of the cult means that little definitive is known about their practices, some aspects were common knowledge and were therefore recorded. Rites of the Maenads were held in rural areas, especially wooded mountains. In the evening, groups robed in fawn skins would tread their way into the wilderness, carrying torches, handheld drums, doubled pipes, ritual staves topped with pine cones, and of course, wine. Once the procession reached their destination, it is likely that they participated in rites, including a type of ecstatic dance to rhythmic music, which is known as oraibhagia. This dancing was purported to transport the initiates into a trance, in which, through their connection to the god, they gained unnatural strength and speed and were therefore able to hunt, capture and kill wild animals with their bare hands. Of course, given Dionysus' patronage of the arts, creative renditions of these Maenads, and indeed the god himself, were produced and provide much of the surviving information about their perceived traits and practices. These depictions include the women suckling wild animals and also tearing such creatures apart and eating their raw flesh in the rite of homophagia. One of the most famous works is Euripides' tragedy, the Vokius, 405 BCE, in which Penthos, king of Thebes, attempts to ban the practices of the mystery cult. He is subsequently torn to pieces by a group of entranced initiates, including his own mother. This image reflects the understanding that many of the men who disapproved of the rites were punished harshly by Dionysus, with dismemberment and insanity featuring highly in a reflection of the trials endured by the god himself. Over the years, many people focused on the connections to wine and ecstatic celebration, and this led many to discount the god as a light-hearted party animal, when in reality he was considered bestial, but in a way more closely related to fertility and the complex mystery of nature. If you wish to learn more about deities from across multiple pantheons, then please take a look at our books. We have a big and ever-growing collection to help guide you through and along your pagan pathway. We also have a bunch of videos introducing you to gods and goddesses that you can find on our channel. Thank you so much for watching. A special thank you to our members. You can also become a member and gain early access to videos just like this one. Just hit that little join button. Subscribe for weekly content, ring the bell to be notified of when we post, and hit like if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.